Good afternoon, everyone. Let us sum ourselves for prayer. Loving Father Almighty, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for everyone that is in this place. We thank you for our entire institute. Lord, we come to you. We give upon this session into your hands. Come and lead us. Make us master whatever is going to be said to us. May your spirit lead us in whatever is going to be said to us. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, we prayed.
Thank you very much, Mercy. Mercy is a first-year law student and is my student. So I would propose that because the AC is being put on, but when the door is open, it just keeps going out. So if you could close the door so that it will be concentrated in the room. Thank you very much. So as I said, once again, good afternoon, and I welcome you to today's session. Now, today is a very important day because as Cavendish University, we treasure and we value the importance of nurturing our students. And that's why, as a university and a faculty, we have a partnership with Women's Pro Bono Initiative. And so what we've been doing over the last 2 years, we have been, is that SC on, just to confirm? Yes, so if you could close the door, because then the AC will be concentrated inside than going out. That would be better. Thank you. So as I was saying, as a faculty, we have a partnership with Women's Pro Bono where they engage our students every Wednesday with an objective of not only nurturing them, but also mentoring them in some of the issues that affect the women's rights in this country. And so today is such another important day where we just don't have an ordinary person speaking to us, but Honorable Miria Matembe. And for me, I have to say that this is my second time of meeting Honorable in person. Last year, when one of my students graduated, I was invited to attend this graduation ceremony. And I have to say that the wisdom I picked that day, I'm glad I'm going to pick more. So I encourage and I commend all of you for coming because you'll get to learn more from Honorable Miria Matembe. So at least the least you can do is to clap for her. Because I can only imagine she has a very busy schedule, okay? And being somebody who is not just distinguished, others would term it as a politician, but I would call her as one of a distinguished honorable members of parliament. But she goes beyond that as one of the vocal activists with regards to women's rights. And so for that, we are indebted to you, Honorable, and Women's Pro Bono Initiative. And as I said, personally, I have a special interest for women's rights because I have a special interest with maternal health services. And so for me, this whole conversation regarding women's rights affects me as well because, not because of a man, but because of the fact that they play a key role in our society. And so today's conversation is very important because we are going to be talking about the value of gender-just legislation for the young generation. Now, when I look in the room, most of you are young. Okay? You are in that young generation. I don't see someone above 40, except a few. Okay? But when I say the young generation, we are looking at the students still in campus. And so I do believe that this conversation is very important because it is going to provoke you. So many times when you look at the laws in Africa especially, and particularly in Uganda, they are affected by stereotypes. And I mean, these stereotypes are created because our society was patriarchal. And so I believe that by the end of today's conversation, we use the term smash some of this patriarchy because I believe we've moved beyond the sentiments that we've grown with. But now we need to be able to move forward because unless all of you are transformed with your mindset, then the society will continue being as it is. And this is where we have these conversations because we are not here to just talk about it. You need to be active in these conversations. And so for me, when I was told about this topic, I asked myself a question. And even before I'll be making the introductions of Honorable, that just my thoughts about this conversation, that when you talk about the just legislation, I see that it plays a key role in enabling that some of these stereotypes are attacked and address. For example, we've had an issue of FGM for some time, but there's no way such kind of issues are not affected unless you the young ones who are still in school talk about these issues. Additionally, I also discovered that equality can only be improved if our laws align with international standards. So there's no way as a country we can advance and progress towards equality, towards social justice, towards advancing women's rights if our laws are still archaic. And so for me, today's conversation is not just us talking about women's rights, but it's what role can the youths play in ensuring that, because tomorrow you are the Speaker of Parliament, tomorrow you will be a member of Parliament, tomorrow you will be the advocate, but you should be the person to speak about these issues. And as I always say every time I invite you for these sessions, that don't just say, they're going to talk about women's issues. No. Your sister, your mother, your auntie will be affected one day because of these issues. And so you need to change your mind. It doesn't matter whether you're a man. You must change your mind, because tomorrow your sister will be affected. Like I said, when I talk about women's rights, I tend to be personal. So I think I'm not the guest of honor, so I'll stop here. But the point I was making is that it's important that you as youths, you take initiative. Imagine you're not going to pay to have the Honorable come here. You have an opportunity to access important people to talk to you about these issues. You must take this opportunity. And so I want to encourage all of you that when these opportunities arise, you must stand up and you must take them on. So with those few remarks, I just want to welcome Honorable and all of you to Cavendish once again. And I just want to encourage all of you to be proactive as you've always been in the past. And without a further ado, I want to invite, I feel like I want to stand, okay? Because you see, when you're inviting an honorable, you don't want to stand, you don't want to sit, okay? But if perhaps I could use this microphone. Thank you. So with the permission from the Dean, I would like to invite us to join our hands to welcome Honorable Miria Matembe. Honorable, interestingly, this room is the moot court, and it can house over 100 students. But what you can see today is a representation of how much both our students, who are male and female, pay attention to these issues. So for us, we as a university, we are very humbled to have you here. And I'm very sure that our students will not be challenged, but they'll go back home thinking about some of the issues you shall be discussing. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being here to introduce me to these good students. I can see they're attentive. I don't see the phones around. And I want to say that when Matembe is here, take away your TikTok and whatever, because those ones you see every day, but you don't see me what? I want to ask you to allow me to talk when I'm seated, because we are high. When I imagine when I stand up, I'll be on top of you. And when I'm like this, I see that we are at par together. First of all, I want to thank the Pro Bono Women's Pro Bono Initiative for inviting me to have a conversation with you. And for me, my conversation has no topic, but you put the topic within the conversation. And I want to say that this is not the first time I came here. Maybe it was many years ago. Was any of you here when I came here to talk to the students at this university? So that means it is more than 4 years since I was here. Yeah, they invited me and I talked to the young people. And by then I came with my book actually entitled Woman in the Eyes of God, Reclaiming a Lost Identity. And I left copies here, but they never brought my money. So today Today I didn't bring the book. It is in the vehicle. I said I'm not going to take it today. But I'm so glad to be here to share with you. I want to tell you that for me, there are three categories, two categories of people I'm very passionate about. Those are the women and the young people. Why am I passionate about them? Because they are powerless. They are powerless in terms of resources and powerless in terms of authority. And therefore, because they are powerless, they are always exploited and manipulated to serve the interests of those who have authority and who have resources. And yet, why I love talking to them, I always want to talk to them to win them over. They have one important thing which they don't appreciate. They have the strength of numbers. They have the strength of numbers, but their numbers are like the DP. I used to hear long ago, I was young up to now, the DP used to say, hey, we are many, you are many, you never win power. They are many, we are many. DP, gumire, we are many. Wapi? They've never taken the presidency, and yet they are many. So also I see women saying, yes, we are more than 51% of this nation, and the youth now are 65%. So what are these percentages helping you in doing? Who is the most exploited? Who is the most oppressed? Even this Simanye LPU, whatever is it, whom is it exploiting? You are just running there, and in the end you are the poor, you are the exploited, you are just there, and I look at them, I say, I wish I could be them. That's why I love the young people and the women, because me, I hate manipulation, exploitation, and oppression. And so usually I always try to have a conversation with them to inspire them to say, yes, we matter. We are being used to serve the interests of others. I fought for you to be represented in parliament, youth representation. When they reach there, what do you gain? Do you even elect those people? Or you go, anyway, that is not the topic. That is the introductory remarks. But I think whatever remarks I make, I want your brains to reflect and see. The next two remarks is that when he was talking, I think he has listened to me talk so that he made that statement for me. At the beginning, he was saying that we are not just here we are here things which affect women, and then when you say things which affect women, then people say, but this Matembe also, women, what about men? So he made a comment in relation to what I had wanted to tell you, that I want you to know from today, that whatever affects women affects men. Because every man has got a minimum of 4 women in his life. You have your mother, the best woman in your life. You have your sister, then you get your wife, then you get your daughter. Those are 4 great women in your life, the minimum. We haven't put aunties saying, mama muto. No, we haven't put those ones. So if anybody is fighting for women's rights, she's fighting for you as a man. Because you must have a mother, at least. Even if you don't have sister or whatever, but you have a mother. And then you have a wife. And then even if you don't have a mother, you don't have a wife, but somewhere, there is, without a woman in your life, you are helpless. Because God himself said it. He saw it. He created a man. He saw he was helpless. So he said, I can't leave this man on this earth alone. He will not be able to do what I wanted him to do. Therefore, I must create a suitable helper to help this man to do what I want him to do. So that means talking about woman is talking about humanity. Have you heard? So whenever they say women, don't say, would you have been here if a woman was not here? You may say also a man. I usually say that women are God's factories because they are the ones who get the pregnancy, who nurture 9 months. The pregnancy is where? In the woman's womb. After 9 months, producing, then breastfeeding, then nurturing, then rearing. We never even leave you. Even when we are old, your mother is your mother. Even when you are sick in the hospital, tell me who cries out, ta, 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 ta. What do they cry out in the hospital when they are having pain? Tell me the truth. Mama, you see? So you need to understand the issue of a woman to humanity. Those are the things. Okay, so I was telling you the 4 people. Keep picking. Justice and fairness for all. You know, like I was telling you that women are God's factory. Others say, but what about a man? Because a man also participates in having the babies. But God revealed to me that they are workers in the factory. The men are workers in the factory. The men are what? Are workers in the factory because some of them are one day like this. One day worker. 4 minutes. You never see this worker. But the factory continues with the baby grows, breastfeeding and what? And the Pharaoh is a minister, is the president of the nation and doesn't know that worker. You see? Do you see the importance of the factory? But when I'm talking to both of you, like both of you are here, I say, please acknowledge that a factory cannot operate without workers, and workers cannot operate when the factory is not what? Is not there. So that means what? That both of us need one another, and in comparison, the woman does the most, and yet in practical terms, the woman is treated the least. As if she's nobody, as if she's nothing. And therefore, we lose so much. When you have somebody who is so great and important and you take her as useless, as hopeless and so on, you don't benefit from her as much as you would have benefited if you acknowledged her value and who she is. So for me, God created me to purposely fight for gender equality and women's empowerment, but on a broader scene for justice, fairness, and equality. And I'm very, very passionate about it. And I want to tell you, as people who are pursuing education and so on, that in this life, each of us was created for a purpose. Each of you here. And I'm glad you are listening to me. I think I will come here and talk about other things. Because unless you know the purpose for which you are created and run with it, you will be struggling in life so much. You'll be struggling because your path will not be clear, it will not be correct, it will not be, because it is not your purpose. But for me, ever since I was born, when God gave me my purpose which I ran with, it is now 19 years when I'm not holding any position at all, but I am still running with my purpose. My purpose which I call my vision. My vision which I call God's purpose for me. And my vision in life was to see a woman or a girl being treated as a full human being in her own right as a man. That's what I live for. Whether I sit in an office, I live for that. Whether I'm not in an office, like 19 years, I'm not in an office at all, but I am still doing what? Running with my God's purpose for my life. You know, when you are doing God's purpose for your life, it never ends until you do what? You go to meet Him. So 19 years ago, I was thrown out of office for my integrity. Because I stood for integrity, I rejected and strongly opposed the removal of the presidential term limit. And when I did, the president threw me out into the garbage. But intending to throw me into the garbage, I fell on God's grace. So I never went into the garbage at all. They say that people fall from glory to grass. But I fell from earthly glory to God's grace. And up to now, I continue to serve His purpose. And that's why I'm here, to talk to the people of Cavendish. What is it that makes Matembe? You know, what does she want? What does she want? And I'm here to tell you what I want, and it is within that topic. And so I want to tell you that for me, I'm a lawyer. That's why they call me the Dr. Miria Matembe, the honorable doctor, because I have a degree, first degree from Makerere, second degree from University of Warwick in UK, third degree from Victoria University in Vancouver. So I'm a fully accomplished lawyer, which was my childhood dream. I wanted to be a lawyer when I was 9 years. Why did I want to be a lawyer? To fight, to plead for the girls and women. And God gave it to me all through. I wanted to be a member of parliament, to change the law. When I was at HSC, that's when I wanted to be a member of parliament, to go and change the law if it is not saying what is right. And God gave it to me, and I became a member of parliament. Not only did I, even before I started talking about changing the law, I was already appointed to the Uganda Constitutional Commission, which had 21 members. Only 2 women were there. But I can assure you, in that constitution, I made sure that the provision for protection and promotion of women's rights were there, guaranteed fully. And so for me, God helped me to realize, parliamentary African, what do you call it? The African Parliament, the Pan-African Parliament. I'm one of the first people that established it, which is in South Africa. And again, I'm the first minister for ethics and integrity who established that ministry. I'm telling you who I am so that you know who is this woman. And now that is on the other side of profession and the work. But now in terms of civil society, I'm a founding member of so many human rights and women rights organizations, both in Uganda and in Africa. For me, there is nothing. I consider myself as a fully accomplished woman of destiny, because I had a dream and I fulfilled it to the maximum, and I'm still running with it. The fact that these young people can call me at this stage, the fact that you young people continue hearing about me, somebody who left work at all 19 years ago, when I went to parliament, we were 39. I don't think any of you knows any single woman who was the first woman in parliament of Uganda. About 39, I don't think you know anybody. The one whom you must know is Kadaga, because for her, she never left. Up to now, she's still there. She's still there. But the rest, like me, who are thrown into the whatever, some people even know me more than the one who remained permanent. Why? Because I'm serving God's purpose. So you have known who I am. And when it comes to family level, yes, I am married and I have 4 great sons. who have brought me great granddaughters in love. And I have many God-given girls whom I inspire and they become my daughters. So many. So for me, I'm so happy. I have done it all and I've seen it all. And the most important of all, I love the Lord. So I was telling you about myself so that you know, when they are telling lies, when they are saying all these things, you know that, this is a woman of God with a purpose in life. Now, they are talking about laws, just laws and passing just laws and
fostering equality, the value of gender-just legislation for young generations.
Yeah, the very fostering gender equality. The main thing is gender equality. And by the way, gender equality cannot be secured through laws. It can only be secured through transformation of attitudes. Because, for instance, we already have the law against gender mutilation. But the people are still circumcising what? We already have laws against gender-based violence. But gender-based violence is what? Is increasing. Rape, what? Sexual harassment in office. They are all there. And for me, I am saying that all these things are there basically because both men and women have failed to know the value and the importance of a woman to humanity. That's how I want to put it. If you get to know the importance of a woman to human being, then we wouldn't be struggling so much. And so for me to come to talk to you young people, especially at a time when there is a backlash on the struggle for gender equality and women's empowerment, at a time when they say that we neglected the boy child. Many people say we neglected the boy child. And they say men are going into hiding. And they say we have empowered women much more than the men, and the men are going into hiding, and the men are neglected. They keep saying all those things. And what causes all that is that because when we came out to fight for gender equality and women's empowerment, we were perceived as people fighting for who? For women alone. And so the whole community and society did not understand what we are fighting for. Because if they could understand, if they had understood that we were really fighting for the fact that we wanted a girl, a child, and a woman to be treated as full human beings in their own right, both men and women would have joined hands together and we fight to lift the girl and the woman from the inferior situation and put them into their rightful position to exist side by side with their brothers, the men, as God had wanted, so that we move together and make our world good. They didn't. So now, when I come to talk to people, when I see both men, girls, and boys, I feel very happy. Because I know that what I will be telling you, you'll know that that is the truth. People have not asked, but why? And remember, the young people, it is not their fault. Because when there is, for instance, Women's Day, then these young people in senior and so on, they say, but so what about us? Why is it Women's Day and not us? And they are right to ask, because for us, when we got up to fight for gender equality and women's empowerment, women were not seen at all. They were there, but not seen. And they were there, but not heard. They were there just like objects. Just like objects. Seeing, she's a woman, don't you know she's a girl? Oh, those are girls. The fact that you women are here, studying every course, you are engineers, you are doctors, you are lawyers. If I tell you when I wanted to be a lawyer, my father said, not in my house. I will ostracize you. A lawyer? a girl in my house, I will ostracize you. You see, that is the time when we prayed. When resilience, I said I will be a lawyer and I will fight and things will change. So when you see this modern time now, Gen Zs, you don't even understand why we are fighting. Because you are all together, and in any case, women are even doing better than men. So what does it mean? Why are we fighting? So you need to know that. You need to know that right from the beginning, when we went to fight, the women were taken as nobody, as nothing. And therefore we had to say, no, God created the man, and so that he was helpless, and so he created a woman. And the woman came from the side of the man. He didn't come from the foot. He didn't come from the buttocks. He didn't come from the backbone. He came from the side. And its meaningful purpose is that a man must exist side by side with a woman. And one thing they forget is that the man came from the clay and the woman came from the bone. Tougher and harder material. I'm telling you, when you are looking for a helper, you don't get somebody who is weak, do you? When you find you are helpless and you need help, you get somebody who is strong. You don't get the weak one to help you. So God saw, I'm creating, he created this and this and this. In the end, he said, oh, I've done a wonderful job. Since I've done a wonderful job of creation, I think I need somebody to thank me and appreciate me, and I need somebody to rule over my creation. But is this thing there it has stopped? I'm dying with sweat. They are opening. It's not working. So why do you open the other door? Oh, yeah, I'm dying here. So now I have interfered with this talk. So God said, I need somebody to rule my creation. I need somebody to appreciate me. I need, but the man was not doing it. So that's why God now, and he created this woman from the rib, from the bone, from a finer material, harder material, so that the man can get an empowerment from this woman. And I tell people, when God was creating a suitable helper, if we continue with the word of God, there were no beds to make, there were no bed sheets to wash, there were no clothes for the man, for the woman to wash, there were no food to cook. There was all these cantankerous, what are they? All these work, they call them what? House chores. There was even no house. So house chores. There were no house chores. So when God said, let me create a suitable helper for this man, and there were no house chores, what kind of help do you think God meant? God meant intellectual support, emotional support. It was to do with the head, with the brain, with the, something was missing in a man, and it could only be filled by this woman who is created at the end. And the woman came into this world as the guest of honor. When I arrived here, you stood up and everybody. Guest of honor arrived here. Have you ever had God create another person? Did God create another person? After the woman arrived, God saw, and for the first time, let me tell you, this Adam looked at the side. The man was not talking. The man could not talk. He could not praise God. He could not thank God. He was helpless. He was just there. And God said, it is not good really for this man to remain alone without help. I must help him to do what I want. And immediately this Adam looked at the side and he saw this. The man burst out. Rib of my rib, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Where was he? Why wasn't he talking? Do you know why? There was no life in him. What does that mean? Women are life bringers. We bring life into otherwise a lifeless man. He was lifeless, not his fault, but God was still perfecting his creation. We bring life. We are perfecters of God's creation. After God created a woman and said, oh my God, a life had come into this man, and God was very happy. He said, this is very good. I have done my part. My work is perfected. And you know what he did? When he saw that the woman has brought life into this lifeless man, that he said, this, you woman, in your womb, I have delegated the responsibilities of creating human beings to you in your womb and with this man. And God stopped creating and gave us the responsibility of doing what? Of creating. Can you imagine? We are the people who create. And let me tell you, all of you, including myself, you are your father's child or son because your mother says so. To know that these people are so important, they collaborate with God, they are co-workers with God. They brought to life. And once the life came, God said, okay, now I have rested. We made God rest. Can you imagine me when they are saying this stupid woman? I say, what are you talking about? When I came on earth, God rested. I gave God peace and rest. Otherwise, he would have continued to, to create. And then after that, if you read the word of God very well, that's when God said, okay, 2 responsibilities. 1, go create. Do the procreation for me. Number 2, rule my what? My creation. When the man was alone, God never assigned him any responsibility except eating the fruit in the garden. That was all. You are laughing, but I hope you are getting my message that a man alone without the woman, nothing. That's what I'm telling you. A man alone without a woman, things can't go well. Yes, the man was going in the garden, was picking his fruit, was eating them, but lifeless, meaningless, helpless. That's why when a man goes and marries a woman, for the first time, even if you had a mansion, they will say that is Tom's house. There is Tom's house. The next day after the wedding and the honeymoon, they say that is Tom's home. You get it? What was a house becomes what? A home. Who doesn't want to go to a home? So for me, I don't know. You can imagine all this meaning. The man becomes, meaningful. He starts talking. He gets life. They start having children. They make a family. But it is the woman who causes all this. Because without her, God could not rest until she came. And when she came, things became perfect. And then now, this is the very person who is treated as nothing, who is treated as helpless, because, in fact, I let me quote, you may think that Matembe speaks all these things for herself, but I had come with this quotation, which say, Aristotle, the father of political science. You are bringing me this modern thing. Thank you very much. Don't you see a woman is helping? They care for life, I'm telling you. She saw I was dying. So, this is Aristotle now, the father of political science. This is what she said. A state is a union of families and village. A state, a nation, is a union of families and village. A family is the basic unit in society, which is the foundation of the state itself. Happy families create a healthy society, and a healthy society is a prerequisite for a strong political order in democratic society. Now, in this context, a woman is an architect of society. The woman is the basic architect of society. She establishes the institution of family life, builds the home, brings up the children, and makes them good citizens. Her strength in totality contributes in the making of an ideal family in society and an ideal state. The position of women in any society is the indicator of health of the state. Have you got it? In other words, Aristotle, who was the father of a political science, said the state is based on the woman. And so the nature of the state, the health of the state, the development of the state, all those things depend on the status and the nature of the woman in that state. In that state. So I think you can see. But sadly, all this important information is not duly recognized, and as a result of which, women continue to be relegated to a very low status and thus incapacitated from discharging their useful roles to their nations because of the following barriers. You have seen, I'm not the one who is saying the woman is the best. Even this man, the father of political science, who studied and said, in a nation, the way the nation is depends on the nature of the state of the women. Once the women are taken as garbage and wisdom to realize their potential for their own development and the development of the nation, the barriers include ignorance. The basic ignorance is this formal, it is a non-formal ignorance, the one I'm explaining to you. Ignorance of the value and importance of a woman to humanity is one of the barriers that hinders their equality and empowerment. That ignorance, which I'm trying to get out of your head. The second ignorance is lack of formal education. Because a girl is, the importance and the value of the girl child is not known, it is ignored, she is not considered to go to school. So she doesn't get the formal education which will empower her to be more able to use, to develop her talents and wisdom and realize her potential. For us, that's by the time I got out onto the public platform, girls to study. Even those who had started studying, they would only be nurses and teachers and personal secretaries, nothing beyond. You people, we have fought. When I see people saying, the women, they are nowhere, what are you talking about? To see the universities inviting a woman called Matembe to talk about women, it was never. It was never. I remember, in fact, when I formed ACFORD, its motto was breaking through, building, and binding. We wanted to break through these barriers that were preventing us from being full human beings in our own right. And wanted to build the systems, the values, the laws, the policies that would empower us to take our rightful position in society. And then wanted to bind ourselves in love with one another for our progress and the progress of our nation. And I remember the first book we wrote, it was entitled Visible at Last. Because we had become visible so. We had gone to LOCs, we went to Parliament. Now they are more visible, almost 100%, but they are visible, not doing what they should be doing. They have become women in power, serving power without power. That is the problem I have. For us, when we were there at the table to participate in decision making that affects the lives of our children, our nation, and ourselves. But unfortunately, because of the gender backlash and all these people who have gone there without passion, the women now are on the table as a menu, not at the table to choose the menu what to take. They are on the table. Prime Minister, First Deputy Prime Minister, Second Deputy Prime Minister, Vice President, But what is going on in the country? Being on the table, we were at the table, influencing decisions to make them responsive for our needs and our interests. That's what we had wanted. So wanted education. And of course, when we established the radio, Mama Radio, I remember when I launched it, I said, odd but last, And when we forward, but I think we must talk. Am I finishing? Let me finish. I was telling you the other book was called The Rising Tide, but I'm talking to people who don't know oceans. They don't know rising tides and how they rise. So that one I can leave it at that. You know the tide. Which ocean did you see? Oh, you've been there. You have to be there to see the tide. You know, when the tide rises in the middle of the ocean, at the time when we wrote The Rising Tide, that's where the women's movement had reached. The rising tide. And when I launched it, I said, next time we write a book, it will be entitled The Roaring Wave. But the wave never roared. When the wave roars, when at the ocean, when the tide rises, and the wave roars, it reaches the areas where the ocean is not. So if there was a roaring wave of this tide, the whole of Uganda, all those girls who are not in school, all those girls who are being raped, all those girls who are being married when they are 13 years, all those girls, the wave would have reached there and they would be like, what we wanted. So ignorance has now continued. Maybe formal ignorance is being fought a little bit, but the non-formal ignorance, there are not many people to come and discuss with you and tell you why we are fighting. Instead, they say Matembe is breaking marriages. Matembe, the boys are hiding. Why should the boys be in hiding? Do you know why they are in hiding? Do you know why? Do you know why marriages are breaking? And the young men are fearing the empowered girls. It's because of egoism. The egoism in men, which was never explained. The culture tells them you are a man, you are a boy, you are a man, you are a boy. And that means you are superior. You are a superior human being. You are not like this girl. The girls are disorganized. You are ignorant. They are fools. They gossip. So for them, they continue thinking like that. And in the meantime, we are telling girls, please, you are also human beings. You have intellect. You have talents. You have brains. And they have come knowing that. Now they come face to face with this man who is theoretically being told he's a man. So what does being a man mean? I'm telling you serious issues. As young people who can go and explain for us out there. What does being a man mean? For me, they say, I am a man. I say, yes, I'm also a woman. So what? So what? And I would tell them, yes, I'm a woman and I'm a great person. Because without me, you are finished. Even God saw it. And I tell you, let me tell you, God never created any helper for a woman. Did he? He didn't. That one I tell it to the married women. When they are telling me, I'm Sajatanyamba, he's not helping. I said, who? I say, who told you that God created a helper for you? God did not create us any helper. We were the perfecter. Do you know who is our helper is? God himself. For us, we have a special relationship. God himself is our helper. That's why some of us manage. They say, but who can, this woman is tough. So how does Matembe manage her? Manage me for what? Is a man meant to manage a woman? You go and manage the marriage. Both of you manage the marriage. But God will manage this woman who is helping you. You see, if only people could know, me, I get revelation from my God. He tells me all these things. And that's why I'm knocking 50 years of marriage. With my toughness. With my toughness, with whatever, I'm still married. The man is there in the house. I haven't divorced. But the good thing is he never attempted to manage me. He realized I was his helper. And he gives me opportunity to help him. And we talk, and then God also manages me and helps me. And then ignorance. You have got the two types of ignorance, which is a barrier to gender equality and women's empowerment. Remember, we are talking about how the laws and policies can help. But now, all these laws are there. But are they dealing with this ignorance? So ignorance is within our mind. Attitude. We need transformation of our attitude. The moment we know the value of the woman, the way I'm telling you, then you help your sister, then you help your whatever mother, and you know, you empower them. You know, there is nothing good like encouraging somebody. Instead of say, I don't, you know, for you, you are a girl. Can you imagine you see these boys of 6 years? She may be having a sister of 8 years. The sister says, when I grow up, I want to be I want to be an engineer. And the boy of 6 years says, but you are a girl. Don't you see them say that? Because of what they are telling them. So you, as people who have sisters, go and encourage them. Even encourage your wives. Stop underrating them. You are missing their talents and their capability to build you a fantastic home. I'm telling you, in a home where a man recognizes this woman and puts her in the rightful position and supports her in what she's doing, and the two support one another, the families flourish. I am telling you, I'm not lying. So the second barrier is customary and cultural practices. Customary and cultural practices, which renders a woman helpless, in fact useless. I used to ask people for how they consider in Ankole. In Ankole, I don't know, in Ankole we have the agriculturists and the cattle keepers. Who are the cattle keepers here? Naturally. Numba manyabantu bitu abeethiniste yabhima barai tubarwaha. Aren't you there? You are one of them, I can see. I know how to identify them. You know why I'm calling that? Because they have many cows. So as I was growing, the proverb was, abakazi ninkamasha genti. Ninkamasha genti. I don't know whether they still say those things. Abakazi, women are like cow dung. You clean the kraal, tomorrow there will be more. Nga abakazi ninkamasha genti nogeyo mu kibuga nchakare Nzitamwagandi. That was the Banyankore. And then the Baganda, who is a Muganda here? Don't fear. Why are you fearing? Your cultures are important. I see you varying them. They say that abakazi nagara namute zigwa mu lusuku. That women are like these beautiful banana leaves which used to cook matoke. They cannot be exhausted in a plantation. You'll cut, cook, throw. Tomorrow you do what? I asked the northerners. They told me that the women are like that stool, a simple stool at the entrance of the house, where a visitor sits. That whoever comes sits there and go, sits there and go. Can you imagine all those things? And in Ankore they would say, ha, ogomshisha taraze irakazaro. Ogutaraze irakazaro mwana ogwo munabeshikibana. That this man did not produce. He only produced 1 boy and 4 girls. Therefore, he did not produce. Girls are not what? Are not children. I'm telling you, these are things which I rose up when I was 9 years. Just below 1960, I think it was 1962. When I learned that this is how they consider us. Hey, you marry, she goes, you marry another one. She dies, you marry another one. Just as garbage, just as nothing, just as property, just they buy them with cows. Oh my God. That is the cultural and customary practices. And for that matter, you are not entitled to inherit your father's land. When you go to where you marry, you don't belong there. Where you are born, you don't belong there. You own nothing. All you do is to dig. You are at your parents' place, you are digging and planting. These days for you are studying. But you know where there are people there who need our help. All you do, dig, fetch water, cook, and so on. When you are 14, 16 years, they sell you for cows. In the meantime, the boy is going to school. They sell you for cows. And those, you go and marry there. You start digging, producing children, planting. You are just a worker. A worker with no pay. And this bride price which they bring, they don't even give you 1 cow even. When your brother who has studied, who is a teacher, who has a degree, goes to marry, those cows are to marry him what? A wife. And afterwards, when you are chased from your home, because the man is marrying another one, when you come back to your parents' home, you have nothing. That's why women were killing themselves. You have nothing. You don't belong there. You don't belong here. And we had a proverb. That you are confusing like a woman. She's coming from her home. She's going to her home. In the end, she dies in the middle. I used to explain all those issues. That's why I was getting votes 100% in Barara. Because I was telling them, you belong nowhere. And I was saying, let us know where we belong. Either I belong where I'm married, or I belong where I'm born. Why shouldn't the girl child inherit the land of her parents? Why? They say she's married, she's gone there. And when she reaches there, they say, you did not come to take property, you came to marry. Is this right? And in the meantime, she's working as a servant, and in the end, she gets nothing. Even these days, they say that you are at home, you are working, home chores, then when you want to divorce, they say, where is the house? That's what. And these days, I wish I was talking to the ones who are already married. You see, these days, the girl and the boy, they are working together, they marry, and they go and make a home. And you know what? The boy says, you know what? This time, the salary which I'm going to make, as you make your salary, for me, now you be buying food, for me, I will raise money and buy land. We buy a plot, eh? For you, you are buying food. So the women, they buy the food and they cook it, they prepare it. The man buys the plot. The plot is written in his names. Now the next turn round, and I'm now going to build a house. Now your money, let it pay school fees. For me, mine, it will be building a house. So the man builds the house, the woman is paying school fees. And then afterwards, maybe after buying, he buys the chair. And you know what the women do? They get tablecloth, They get the man buys the bed, the women buy the bed sheets and the duvets. And mark you, the chairs don't get old quickly. But the tablecloths, the cushions, all those get old quickly. And the bed, you are buying sheets every the other year and duvets. But the bed and the mattresses are there. And now time comes, you are so tired, you've been overworked, the man wants a new, because you have become beautiful house, everything is good now, she wants a new girl. And she chases away you. And then you go, they say, okay, where is my share? What do you have? Can you produce the food which the children ate? Can you produce the school fees? But the man will say the house in his title, the beds are there, the chairs are there. For the women do those imperishable. When I went in my conscience, stop doing the imperishable. Start also doing things which are real. So that by the time there is a conflict, I also have real things. For me, if my husband says pack and go, I don't know where you'd stay. Pack and go. Where will he stay? So that's what I was teaching women. Be wise. Be wise, also do things which are there. He will weigh and say, if I tell this woman go, where will I stay? So you will be variable. When I talk to women, make sure you are variable. Make sure your husband looks at you as indispensable. Do you get it? He will look at me and say, I'm done. If I say anything, I'm done. So, customs and culture, we must fight them. Selling a girl of 14 years to marry, I'm fighting that in Sembabure, in Nyabshoz, Chirhura, in Gomba, I'm dying, suffering, fighting all this, which are nonsense. Then the other barrier is legal discrimination and inadequacy, the point you are talking about. The law, legal discrimination, the discrimination of women, which we really fought, discriminating women, and then law which is not adequate. There must be law which says equality. We put it, do you know that we've been fighting for marriage law for over 60 years now? Uganda is independent for how many years? 60 what? We started the reform of that law marriage bill with Karema in 1962. Up to now, we have not had the marriage bill passed. Why? Because the marriage bill is the most empowerment law. Because it would define who is a wife, what are her rights, what are her responsibilities, and it will define who is a husband, the rights and responsibilities at marriage, in marriage, and during the divorce or whatever. But they don't want it. Because when it remains inadequate, when the woman is married, for me, I said, I don't want to marry a man who has a house, who has a vehicle, and I was 21 years, by the way. You don't joke with me. And I put my terms on the table, very clear. Very clear. This is what I want, this is what I want, this is it. But now girls are crying for money as if they are desperate. I'm not saying you should not marry, but marriage is not the best. You get yourself and make yourself, and then you say you are on equal terms, you are negotiating for this covenant you are entering into. Not just beseeching. In the meantime, God is helping you. Why do you look for help from elsewhere? So legal discrimination and legal inadequacy, we need the law, yes. It may not work quickly, but in order to make that law so, which is right, we need the transformation of our mind. I'm sure I'm working on your minds and they will be transformed. Now there is also religious misinterpretation and misapplication. A woman is a woman. Simanyi, submit yourself. The word of God says submit. What does submit mean? Does submission mean subjugation? Submission doesn't mean subjugation. It doesn't. So they misapply the law, they misinterpret the law, and they do all those things. For me, that's why I misinterpret it properly and apply it properly. And that's why my marriage is still stable for the last 50 years. Because you apply the law as God wanted it to be. That kabuko of mine is wonderful in educating you. So misinterpretation and misapplication of the religion, that is also a very big barrier. That's why these days I preach. I go in church and I preach the Bible the way I understand it. God reveals it to me and I preach it. And some people say, but now we are talking of Eve. Eve is the one who went and brought sin and caused the fall of man. And I say, where was Adam? When Eve was wandering in the plantation and meeting a serpent there, they told him, you guard the garden and nurture the garden. Some women are just behaving like Adam. Oh, they get the garden and they are not nurturing it and they are not protecting it. And then they blame Eve. But those ones I talk to, the married ones. So, all these factors which I have given you have conspired together to make a woman poor. So poverty is the climax of the barriers that actually prevent women from being equal and being able to tap on their potential and realize it for their progress. So poverty. I tell you, women who are poor, what can you say? You see, I tell Matembe, if I pack, what happens? Because I'm not poor. You get it? When you are working, when you have independence, when you can also earn, and he's earning, and you put the man on the table, and you plan together, and you share and build your home. But as long as you have nothing and he's ruling over you, that poverty, as long as you are incapable of utilizing your wisdom and talents and skilling them and earning and getting out of poverty, women will remain where they are. Therefore, I have taken time to talk. In fact, I have not talked much. But I believe that from my talk, you can conclude, you can see what it is that we want. The central to the struggle for gender equality and women's empowerment is not to make a woman superior over the man. It is to get the woman from the feet where they are trampling on us, from the buttocks where they sit on us, from the back where they leave us behind, and not even on the head so that we may be on top of men, but to bring the women back to their rightful position, which is the rib, side by side with what? With the man. We don't want to take the position of men. No, we don't want. We want to recognize that we are human beings with all the wisdom, with all the energy, with all, and moreover, with more aspects of humanity. Humanity, love, compassion, emotions, which God saw that were lacking from a man, and therefore he was more next to animal. And he wanted to tone him down to humanity, to make him a human being. He created this soft, mindful, thinking, emotional, and loving person that he can, when you detonate, at times I lose the words. You see, men alone with who they are, they need to be toned down. And God said, and if men, by the way, I was looking at men and saying, these men who rape that like a girl of 4 years or 5, they rape, or they rape their daughters. I was saying, but God, what sort of people are these? And then God took me to the Bible. And I found actually that a man was created immediately after creating animals. You go and read the Bible. After, on the day 5, you created, he said, let there be animals. And there are all sorts of animals. So, after that, you created man. So, whatever missed in the animals, God put it in man. God put it in man to make a better what? Then even this animal remained a bit missing. And so God created the perfecter and cleanser of this other animal so that it may now be what God wanted. I said, oh, so this is the thing. So many times, don't you yourselves wonder, how can somebody rape his daughter? Don't you wonder at times? But God answered me. For me, he answers me. So, we don't say that women are emotional, they are soft. Yes, we are soft because our body was made in such a way that we are capable of nurturing and producing human beings, and then our minds and our emotions are tuned towards the caring of humanity. But for you, you think it is a disadvantage. So I wish this kind of knowledge that I'm giving you, if everybody was to know that, we would be home and dry and would be working together without competing with one another. I must stop here because it was supposed to be a conversation, but now I have taken all the time. I don't know when you will converse. If need arises, you call me again here and I will sit, and for you, you will talk. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Friends, we can do better. She just reminded me that we have a Q&A, Honorable, a very short, because I'm certain that some students might have some questions or reactions, because as I began, Honorable, I mentioned that for me it's my second time interacting with Honorable, and I said that she's an epitome of wisdom, and I think you can confirm that. But allow me add something very interesting. 3 questions. Okay, it's okay. Allow me add that today I can confirm to those who didn't know that she's an avid promoter. And I said the word avid very cautiously because I mean it. She's an avid promoter of not only women's rights, but equality, both in Uganda and in Africa, because you heard the history of the work she has done. And I mean, we should be able to appreciate such a person. So, before we have the questions, for me, my key takeaway, I mean, there've been a couple of them, but I can just do a refresher for somebody who was sleeping, okay? That, and this was very important, that whatever affects women, you can finish it. Whatever affects women, affects men. So, gentlemen, when we say we have a brown bag of women pro bono, don't say that is girls' things. You should be running because you're also being affected in one way. So for me, Honorable, we want to thank you very much. For me personally, I've been challenged. In fact, whenever we have these sessions, you must learn, unlearn, and relearn. So if you didn't learn something, I'm very sure you did unlearn some wrong beliefs you had, that you should not be describing your sister as useless as you thought they were. Because today we've been told that without them, we would not have been here. But today is not about me. Today is about the young generation. So those with the questions, we'll take 3 questions. And if you have any question or any remarks, let's keep them short. By short, I mean short, so that everyone can say something. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Perhaps
very much.
You can start by telling us your name and the class you are in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My I'm called Kawuma Cedric. I'm in year 1. I have a question. I've had a lot of wisdom when you're speaking. Don't you think that the parliament needs that kind of wisdom more and more and more and more? Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Honorable. My name is Falusi. I am in year 4. I am a finalist. I have just completed my studies here. My contribution here is the issue of inhabitation here, in cohabitation, sorry. We've seen that it is very rampant here in Uganda, where people stay without marriage, and you are here telling us that you've been married for 50 years. So what advice do you have for women because this to stop this cohabitation and get into marriage? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Mazra Gloria, fourth year first semester student. I'm also a feminist. I believe in women's emancipation. So my question is that, especially at the legal side, in these law firms, there's this issue of unequal pay, where girls are paid lesser than men, even when they do the same work and the same position. How do we handle that? And then also the aspect of sexual assault in these vicinities. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think we'll take the first round of the 3 questions. So I want to see the other 3 hands. So I see 1, 2, and then 3. Okay? So in that order. Thank you. I think they're waiting for you, for your response.
This one?
Yes.
Answer this one.
Yes.
Don't I think the parliament needs such kind of wisdom? I want that kind of wisdom for everybody, including you, so that you can know the message I'm giving, because the moment you know it, then you spread the message to the others, and then eventually down the road, we get this equality and empowerment we are talking about. Because it is not going to come from class, it is going to come from the knowledge we get with one another, and so that we can change our mind. As for the parliament, I'm telling you, it's quite sad we didn't talk politics today, and I have no time to get into politics. But it's because the politics of this country no longer attract intelligent people. They attract those people who can bow and succumb to nonsense, who can be bought. What drives leaders in this country these days, whether parliament or local government or whatever, is not service to the people, but it is getting power for their own stomach. And as long as that's what drives you in leadership, you may be having that wisdom in the head, but you are not going to use it. So the problem of parliament lacking wisdom is really about the nature of the political environment that we have in this country, which is centered on self-satisfaction and has nothing to do with the people. As you can see, for me, what drives in my life, I have a passion for empowering the people so that the people can improve their lives. But now, the type of members of parliament we have, and even if you go and call, one of the women members of parliament now in that parliament and bring them to address these people on the very subject I'm talking about, I wonder how many would talk what I'm saying. Because for them, it is about running up and down, deceiving, buying votes, running. You can't tell them even anything to do with gender equality. That's not what took them there. That one, I think I leave it at that. And the question comes back to you young people. I started by telling you how you are manipulated, exploited, serve the interests of those who are not serving your interests. And therefore, you go and think about it so that down the road until you coming to parliament, and all of you going to vote, I will just be seeing you with yellow, yellow, yellow. Oh. Today is not for politics. In case you forget my message, which was central, you may run with politics while I want you. This is also politics, by the way. Equality is about politics, because politics is the science of managing society, and we want society to be managed in equal terms with equal opportunities and equal rights and so on. Now, the other one was cohabit. You said I should advise. What advice do I have for women to get married and stop cohabiting? But it is the men who needs this advice most. Because as we talk, it is men now who have power. A man will go and pick a girl and say, you are my girlfriend, and deceive he's not proposing, and then he say, okay, let's now come and visit me, and in the end it ends up being cohabit, and he say, when are we wedding? When are we wedding? There's no wedding. And for me, I usually advise these girls, please stop cohabiting. But they can't listen. They don't listen, and they don't know that the men are cheaters. They take them after using. Once the man, you are in the house of the man for a month and you have got a baby, you are finished. You are done, because he will just play about with you. So that's why women should not go to cohabit, but they go. But basically, for us in our culture, wedding was not there. So if all these women in the village, all of them who are there, they think they are married. For them, you can't say they are cohabiting. They don't even differentiate between marriage and cohabit. Because they go, their parents, then they say, okay, you go and marry. They think they have married, when actually there is no marriage. And that's why we've been fighting for cohabit to be recognized in law. But they've been rejecting, the religious people, they reject it. And yet they have done nothing to stop it. But when we say you recognize, at least we are fighting to say, at least recognize at the end, when they are parting, maybe there is a separation. At the time of separation or at the time of death, that cohabit will be considered as marriage. That's what we wanted in law. But we have not secured that. But I keep telling these girls, don't cohabit. What was it doing this thing? It gets finished. I put it on. So, that is it. You are right with this cohabit. We've been fighting. But you girls, have you now heard me? Please don't run after men. They will deceive you. And in the end, they will not marry you. Don't go cohabiting. You study, get your job, start working. If you get a man who loves you, you ask him to propose to you. I had my sister-in-law, but she passed on. My cousin went and befriended her, and she would go and visit. She was studying medicine. And then one time she told this man, but I want to know, are you going to marry me or not? And the boy said, I will think about it. And the girl said to her, and she never went back to him until the man came and said, okay, I've come back, I will marry you. Because why should you be used like that? Because girls these days are spoiled also, they are used for nothing. Please, at least for my sake, don't do it, you who have listened to me. Value yourself. Without a man, you can still live. And when God brings a man, then let him marry you, but not deceiving you. Okay, now Gloria, an equal pay. I didn't know about equal. You mean in this government of ours, there is an equal pay? Where? You'll find in a company, the girl is like a manager and the man is a manager and the woman is getting less than the man. I thought that was not in Uganda. In Uganda, when you are a state attorney, you are a man and this is a woman, and you start together, and they give a man different salary than a woman. I don't think in Uganda it is there. Is it anywhere in the companies? I don't know, but it used not to be there. I don't know if it is there now. An equal pay.
there are people who still complain about it. It is there in the systems. These girls, sometimes they are very desperate after school. You have to get something like to sustain yourselves. So they get these jobs whereby their value actually is not recognized because they are women. So they miss
Because
certain...
they are women.
Yes, because of their gender, and they can't complain about it because they're afraid of being fired.
Yeah, then what do you want me to do to them? If you are afraid, we are afraid. I have no answer for people who are scared. But I don't think it is there. I'm sure the men also go there looking for jobs and they get them and they don't earn as much. When you are fighting for equality, let us not imagine things.
It's not actually an imagination. I actually have a friend who's going through this.
What is she doing?
She did from Makerere University. She did a business course. So she's working in some company in Bali. And yeah, so there are those issues of a lot of like too much work, exploitation, and it's a lot.
But I'm sure they exploit as much the men as the women. Don't you think so? You know, I don't like also this thing which says, because I'm a woman, that's why they are treating me like that. Some people also look at it that way. When something happens, say, because I'm a woman, no. Because if it is a struggle for work, also these graduate men are suffering. They may find themselves doing a job which is below their level. What I know is sexual harassment. The sexual harassment I know is there, and I really don't know how to fight it because for me, I'm not there now. But I tell these people, as long as you are desperate for a job, as long as you are scared you are going to lose your job, as long as I don't know what to do for you, I can't help you because I've been fighting against it. And even when you go to report and you go to ask these people, they hide. I remember when I was in Parliament, I raised this issue because the lecturers at Makerere were sexually harassing girls. I raised it in Parliament, and the speaker said, okay, go and get us evidence. And I went with this Babu, Dr. Babu, Honorable Babu. We went to Makerere to see the girls. We said, okay, tell us. They hid themselves. We had no evidence, and the thing was never discussed in Parliament because they didn't speak. So unless they come out rightly and they speak, and then we fight it. But if they don't come out rightly, and at times they even buy them, they buy you and they say, let's settle it down, and you take money. So it's quite difficult. It needs the people who are out right there to protect and defend themselves and be out to speak the truth. Because like the other day, there is a girl who came to me. She's been suffering that 4 Chinese raped her. They 3. She went to work. She was working at the office. She went to work at their home, and they sedated her or something and then raped her. And she's been going the police's boat, whoever's boat, until they reached my home. But she's there with her brother, and I had to call DPP, and I had to say, revive this file, and they are reviving it to look again into the case. And I said, get other doctors to examine this. Mark, you, I have no office. I told you. But I command these offices. Because I'm serving God's purpose. You don't need to be in a position. But why am I giving it as an example? The girl is bold. She has come out to say, I was raped. Why should she be raped? She's not embarrassed that she's saying she's raped. She was raped. Why should she be raped and the other people are not punished? But people fear, other people will know about you and that kind of thing. And so there's no you can fight for you. Okay, now another question.
So take 3, and because of the heat, that will be our last session, okay?
Thank you very much. Allow me kindly ride on the already established protocol. My name is Sarah Achemo. I'm the President-elect Rotary Club of Cavendish University, and as well in year 2, semester 1. Now, Mama, mine is not a question. It's rather a compliment. I have had an honor to listen to you in various forums, And I've also had a privilege to read your book, Woman in the Eyes of God.
Oh, you have read it. You
Yes.
must be a great woman. If you are not, then you are. You, you have to leave the evidence.
Thank you very much for that compliment. Now, I wanted to thank you so much for taking your time to write down that book and share your knowledge with us. And I believe, or rather, I want to implore also my fellow students to read that book. I don't know if you've come with a copy, but it's really a great one.
They are
It
there
will.
in my vehicle. I didn't bring it here in case they don't pay. But if you follow me, you'll get it. 20,000, you get a copy.
Yes, it's a very, very great book, and I know that when you read it, you will not remain the same. It will open up your mind and understanding of what Mama has just shared with us here. So, yes, I just wanted to basically give you your flowers and let you know that I'm very appreciative of the work that you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah.
My name is Katsime Irene Mwesgwa. Mine is also not a question, but rather a reaction. Doctor, I am very honored to be in this room today. I have heard of events where you're going to present and have to speak with young women. And I've tried to, sometimes maybe you need a specific requirement to be there, maybe they're on invite, and I can't get into that room. But today, my lectures were done early, but I was like, I have to stay behind and hear from you. I love you so much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Destiny Wonder, and I want to first of all appreciate your word of wisdom for all of us today. Now, I have a particular question, two exactly, more like a concern. There are women that they hear this topic of empowerment and then they use it as a basic for laziness. Like, let's say, the issue of women are not made for house chores. I respect that, but there are issues in the society that a woman can come and say that they say she sleeps all day, gets drunk, and then she doesn't care about the children because she says that why I'm a woman, that you're a man, go and do the work. Like while them they're at home being lazy, they don't do house chores. There are cases like that in society. And then the second one is the issue of bride price in Uganda, because the case is really serious. Because now, to marry a woman, they will demand like 80 cows, there are cultures like that. And then the women now look for another alternative, should I say a back door, because they don't want to stay single. What they do is that they will now go and look for a man, they will stay with the man to avoid that issue of bride price. And if we target that issue of bride price, if we say we remove it, it's also going to say that we're being more Western, we're not being more of African. And there are cultures that have that issue of bride price, but it's not as insane as it is here. So that is all I have to say.
Thank you, Honorable. Those are the last ones. So I think after that, we'll then be able to proceed.
Okay. And I will begin with the issue of bride price. Actually, I forgot to say that one of the causes of cohabitation is bride price. Because when the parents put a heavy bride price, then the boys cannot find the money, and therefore cows, so they cohabit. You are right. That is one of the causes. Now the issue, this culture and customs, I don't understand them. We fought so hard. There is an organization called Mifumi. It fought so hard against bride price. The only thing that we managed to achieve was not to return bride price. At least that was a great achievement, because you would marry, even if you have married for 40 years, and when you divorce, then the men would go to claim bride price. When you have produced children, you have done everything in that home, but they follow the cow that they paid there, which was useless. So when we followed that matter, we managed to stop that. At least now, if you pay bride price and there is a divorce, you don't bring back bride price. But the issue of not paying bride price, we failed. The High Court, I think it was even over Supreme Court, I don't know, I think we reached Supreme Court. Because of the people, the mentality, because even girls themselves, who disgust me, they said, how can he take me for nothing? And then I tell them, but why is my boy being taken for nothing? Because if people would see, I was struggling with the bride price from my in-law who wanted bride price. Me, I don't like to, when I come to marry with my son, to marry your daughter, I don't want you to ask for bride price. And I put it clearly there. I said, if you demand bride price, my son will change, will leave your daughter, you'll find another person. And actually, yes, they followed that and they were not asking for bride price. But you know, one woman was very tough. After he deceived me, they are not asking for bride price. Then after a minute, after we had agreed and so on, he turned it, he called it another thing. Instead of bride price, he termed another language. Of course, gifts we give them. He gave another language, say, you are taking my girl, she's going to stay with you, me, I'm remaining with the nothing. I said, excuse me. Did they tell you that your girl is coming to my house, sleep in my house? She's not coming to me at all. I say, in fact, you are taking my boy because I know girls take all the boys to their parents. You ask me, I produced boys, but do I see these children? They run to their mothers in love. The daughters take the boys to. And at the beginning, I was very concerned. But when I read the Bible says that's why man will leave his parents. These people think it is girls who leave. No. According to the word of God, the man will leave his parents and cling to what? To his wife. So me, my son, they go. They cling to their wives' parents and they belong to their wives' parents. They rarely come to me. But me, I took it. I said, why should I? When they come to me, I go to run, prepare food. Now that I'm in my house, let them, their mother go and take care of them. So you look for joy out of the situation. But now I was telling this, she said, now my girl was washing for me, was cooking for me. I said, who told you that she's coming to cook for me? She's just going to her home to cook for her husband and their children. So why should anybody pay for another? Do you see the point? But then the parents say, no, I worked so hard, I did all this. And yet they take our children. I'm telling you, find my son is taking care of the mother-in-law, is buying things for the other people and not me. So I want to ask, why should on top of that add on my cows? Why should I add on my cows when the God is going to take my son to you and they are caring for you? So this whole thing is not right. And then there are the girls who say, she must pay for me. Otherwise, they think I'm valueless. They attach their value to the bride price they pay instead of attaching their value to their brains and to their talents and to their ability and capacity. We've got to cleanse. These minds have got to be washed and cleansed, I think, by the blood of Jesus. You know, it is God who has wisdom. When the Spirit of God goes through your mind, it puts there wisdom for you to understand what we are talking about. So that is the issue of bride price. I agree with you. I'm not with it. You people, you should help us to fight it. And you girls, you should stop saying that, no, how can they take me for nothing? Why should you be both? And you know why I hated bride price? Why? One of the reasons I fought, if you read my book, by the way, I'm also an author. I've written 4 books. If you read my first book, which was called Gender, Politics and Constitution Making in Uganda, I put my story of why when I was 9 years, why I used to see my aunt used to come. She had married a husband who was, I think, a vagabond. She used to go to Uganda. You know, we come from Ankori. And for us, Uganda was very far. She used to go to Uganda to go to Pakasa. Pakasa means to what? To work as a porter. She used to go to Uganda. Uganda was very far. And she would leave my aunt at home with her children. And my aunt would take care of the children. And this man would stay long. And when he came, he didn't even come with anything. He would come, and after 2 days, she is drunk. He beats my aunt, and my aunt would run to our home, to the brother's home, to to get comfort and solace. And then after about 3 days or so, then my father would also turn against her and say, you woman, you are useless. That's why they chased you from your home. Go back. And then my aunt would say, I am not useless. I have produced sons for this man. I am not useless. I brought cows into this home. Remember, I was young, about 9 years or 10. Now I would say, you mean this woman is useless and he can only be useful by producing, moreover, sons to this man. The sons are not even hers, they are to this man, and she's not proud of producing girls, but producing sons. Do you see how my head is intelligent? So I was looking into that kind of situation. So the other thing was, I brought cows into this home, meaning bride price. So this woman's, her usefulness, according to her, was attached to producing boys for this man and to bringing bride price. So with no bride price, with no producing boys, she was useless. And that could not go well with me. How can I be useless? Because I was seeing, my story is long. I was seeing there is nothing I could do. My brother, what he was doing, I was also doing. So he was writing very wrong things about us, defaming us. And now he defamed, he wrote about me, wrote about Vice President Kazwe, wrote with Winbyanyima, this lady of Besij, because we are tough women. And he said, these women, what sort of women are these? And he told stories about us in his paper, Confidential. And he said that this Matembe, he went roving all over the world, abandoning Mr. Matembe, and Mr. Matembe looked around and he couldn't find anybody. So he got a house girl and they produced children. And now, this woman has chased away the children, the wife, Simani, the second wife, what? And all these were lies. So Matembe sued this child. Now when we went to court, this lawyer whom I tell you was a fool. She asked me, do you know why your husband left you for another woman? I said, I don't know. First of all, I don't know that he left me. Secondly, if he did, I don't know why he did. You will ask him when he comes into this car box. He said, yes, I put it to you that your husband left you because you failed to produce girls. I looked at him in his face. I said, do you know my tribe and my culture? I said, I am a Munyankore woman. And in Ankore, a woman like me who have produced 4 sons, I am a queen in the home and I'm a treasure. So how can you come and tell me that the man leaves me for that? I said, you are really useless lawyer. He was really a useless lawyer. Because when my husband came on the what is it called, in that box, in that witness box, he asked him, do you have a sister? You have sisters? Yes. Where are they? Are they married? Then my husband said, yes. Some are married, there is one who is not married. He said, where is she? He said, she's there staying at our home in the village. Does she have children? He said, yes, she has children. He said, I want to put it to you that is the woman I'm talking. That is the woman I'm telling you slept with. And because Matembe for him is not a lawyer. You know, with the lawyers, we answer you like we should answer you. He removed his glasses. He said, what? You? You almost beat this man. You mean I sleep with my sister? And the judge said, cool down. You lawyer, you. Shut up. If you have no case here, you get out. And of course, we won the case. But the reason why I bought it was the culture and the importance they attach on male children, ignoring the girl child. For instance, in my home, if we were 9, 5 boys and 4 girls, But I used to hear my father, he was very bad also mistreating my mother. And he used to say, this woman refused to produce children. We are 5 boys and 4 girls, 9 children. She refused to produce, she only produced girls. Hey. I said, my fight must begin from this home. So, yes, I think I have answered, which was the other, there was, what was your question, the other one? There were 2. Yeah, you said they don't work. I think that one is left in, is you who knows it. Because women empowerment, I didn't actually talk about this empowerment. Empowerment can be defined in many times, but according to gender, I think let me read it for you. What we mean by empowerment in terms of gender is that empowerment means, in terms of gender empowerment, it means equipping women with knowledge, information, and skills to effectively participate in decision making that affect their lives and the lives of their nation. Equipping them with knowledge, information, and skills to enable them to participate in those decisions which affect their lives, which affect the lives of their nation. Giving women ability to change the gender inequalities that exist in society, so that the resources can be properly and equitably managed for the enjoyment of all citizens. It just means that you give them the knowledge, skills, and information that they can effectively participate in decision making, which affects themselves, which affects their families, which affects the nation, so that when it comes to allocation of resources, they can participate and say, yes, we have so many women in health, the women are affected in education. As you reallocate resources, put focus on this and the other, so that you know in the end, women will be participants in the development of the nation and building of the whole society for the development of the nation. So, if that is what we mean by empowerment, how can now the empowered women refuse to work? That they sit there. Do you see? That means even the issue of empowerment, you don't understand it. But I'm glad I have explained it to you. An empowered woman does not mean a woman who sits there and doesn't go to the kitchen to cook. Because for them, you look at it as that. When you see they neglect their responsibilities, you are looking at washing your shirts, ironing your trousers, and cooking food for you, making the bed, while for you, you sit in the sitting room and attend to TV and you read your WhatsApp. No way. You are not supposed to do that. You are supposed to help her as you do the work. And originally, I told you that actually when we were created as your helpers, it was not about making the beds. In fact, for me, I tell men, there is only one thing which a man, biologically, he cannot do. Cutting a bunch of matoke and peeling it and putting it in sefuria and cooking it. You are capable of doing it as much as a woman. As much as a woman. Making a bed, you are capable of doing it. Bathing babies. I see my sons do that. They help their wives to do everything. The only thing you cannot do, which now these rotten and ungodly people are doing, is to turn you into a woman with a uterus to become pregnant and push out a baby and breastfeed a baby. That's all you cannot do biologically. But the rest of the thing you can do. What can't you do? You cannot. And also that the woman, apart from the science which is coming now, they cannot for them, they cannot make a woman pregnant, they can't make themselves pregnant also. So that is what I look at biologically, naturally. I'm not saying, I want to say naturally, because naturally, it is a job of a woman to cook. Naturally, it is a job of a woman to wash the clothes, to peel, to take care of the children. Naturally, what does naturally mean? What does naturally mean? Naturally, the thing which is naturally, which a man cannot do, is to conceive and become pregnant and produce a baby, push out a baby and breastfeed a baby. That is what they can't do. Breastfeed with a breast, but you can bottle feed. So, you young people, let us look at it like that. That it is when the men when the men are making in our language there is a culture, the proverb, which I didn't like at all, that the man would help you. I have forgotten it, but the man would help a woman when a woman is making the bed. Then the man would help the woman to unstrip her, because for him he's ready, to do his work. And so when the woman is busy making a bed, the man helps in stripping, removing the clothes, so that she can be able to go quickly down there, and the man enjoys his thing and goes. You can imagine, for them, they don't look at, I share one example with you, my personal experience. One time, when I had become too busy with the politics, I came back home. Of course, my husband was already in bed, sleeping. And when I went to bed to sleep, the sheets were the other way, disorganized. I would pull the sheet, but why is this sheet upside down? When I said, but this bed sheet, what's wrong with it? Then he was very, very angry. Then he said, but did you make the bed? I said, oh, you mean the bed is not made? Because I got up early and I ran to go to work. I was late. You mean the bed is not made? I said, you went in the bed without making it. Why didn't you make it? And he said, me? Making a bed? Hey, I said, hey, wait a minute. What is so foolish about making a bed that I am? For the first time I came to realization, you mean making a bed is something which is demeaned, is something which is so low, which is so poor, and it is meant to be for me? So I said, what is it about making a bed that is so stupid that I am? My eyes were opened, Now I said, okay, if making a bed is stupid is for me, then make sure when I get up, you get out of this bed so that I make it. But otherwise, whoever stays in this bed and wakes up later, should be the one to do what? To make the bed. And things were sorted. Because he was the one remaining there, me, I'm running to go. And now he made the bed. Now, did he become less of a man? I teach men, I say there are so many things which make you less of men than making a bed, than cooking food, than feeding a baby. If you are a man and you say, I am a man, you are incapable of buying food, you are incapable of dressing, buying clothes for your wife, you are incapable of doing all those things as the man, the head of the household. Now, you say that cooking makes you less of a man. Those are the other things which make you less. And I tell them, focus on those which make you less. Because making a bed does not make you less of a man. You saw ego has got to get out of our heads. So I conclude by telling you, transformation, attitude, mind shift. Mind shift is central to attaining gender equality and women's empowerment. And let me tell you, gender equality and women's empowerment is a journey. It is a journey which both men and women need to work together. Why do they need to work together? Because it is for the good of both, of men and women, and for the nation in which we live. So my appeal to you, please, you have listened to me, you have heard I have not broken any marriage. My sons are married and they have not broken. The first one actually is 17 years in marriage. I think another one is 12. There is one which is 11 and another one is 14, and they have their children and they are doing well. I've never had any of them complain or coming to run, the man is beating me or my wife is no good. No. So that means if you follow in my footsteps, I am telling you, you'd be having fantastic families, rearing very godly children. Because me, I depend on godly principles. I follow God and introduce God in my families, and my children know that. And that's what we need. That's what we need.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Indeed, it seemed like we didn't want to go, but we have to go, right? But perhaps as a side point that CLS, perhaps you need to invite Honorable again. But I would like to thank Honorable Dr. Miriam Matembe. We want to thank you very much for your time and for sharing insights and empowering our students with so much wisdom. I also want to appreciate Women Pro Bono Initiative, and I could see that we had a couple of thank you very much. Those who have not registered, please make sure that you register, okay? We want to count you. You need to be counted, okay? So register. So I want to thank you very much, Women Pro Bono, for inviting Honorable Dr. Miria Matembe, because she has been indeed a great eye-opener for all of us. And I wish I could ask that another day, please invite her again, you know? And I think they have accepted with their silence. But I also want to thank the student leaders. And I just want to ask the Vice President of the CLS, if you could stand, please. Let's just clap for her. Okay? And I also saw the President of Lotaract, if you could stand. Okay? And so I want to thank you very much for also playing a key role in organizing this function. Indeed, I can confirm as your lecturer and student coordinator that this has been a success. Finally, I want to thank you very much, dear students and the guests that came. It has been a success because of the huge turnout, and I hope to see you again when we invite you with the next brown bag. But before we go, we have a picture moment that you can frame at home, that you can put on your status once you leave today, that you can share in your WhatsApp groups, that indeed you met a woman of valor, that indeed you are not only challenged, but you've learned something. So we will be doing a photo moment, and I'm advised, and I'll just wait for Honorable to conclude, but I'm advised that we shall be taking the photo moment from down there. So if you could push in a bit, so that we can put some chairs there, so that Honorable and some representative could sit, and then those who want to take the photo can come behind. Agreed? Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
So take some photos here, we'll take a picture.
Hey,